out where you want to put the tail is very important. And you have to keep in mind, this is the direction that you need the head to be put on. Remember, you need these two strands to be on the same side so that it stands straight rather than tipping forward. So then this is the back. So you're gonna pin the tail on the donkey, just kidding. I like to have it so that this strand is kind of like, so I'm gonna fold that a little bit. So I like it to be on one of the sides, and I like to have, because it's worked in a spiral, one of the edges is gonna come down further. So I like to have this edge here that is a little bit higher. I like to have that facing out towards me. That's the front, this is the back. Okay. So then I'm gonna take my pin. I'm gonna take 2 pins. I'm gonna pin that in place. Let's see, do I like it right there? Yep, I do. Okay. So when I sew this on, sometimes, so we're gonna pretend this is like super long. And sometimes it might flop this way, but you want it to stand up. Sometimes it's fully stuffed, and it's just gonna flop down, but you want it to stand up straight. So I'll show you a couple different ways that you can do this. One is only good if you have it, if it's not stuffed. The other way, you can do it whether it's stuffed or not. But either way, you're gonna start, so you're gonna start the same way. Oof, if I can get this on my needle. Okay. So first, to start, you're gonna take your thread and you're gonna go through this part here. You're gonna go through both the front and back loops on all of these stitches, and you're gonna go directly through this way. Okay, and I like to go through just through the piece, and not through the piece that you're sewing onto. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. Where am I pulling? Too many strands. Okay. And then I'm gonna put it through right here, directly below, because we are kind of blending this in. Okay, and I'm gonna take that out, and we're going through the next one. I'm gonna go through the piece first, and then through the piece that you want it to be sewn onto. And then again through this next part. Pull that nice and tight. Take that off. Okay, see, now this can flop this way, but you want it to stay attached, right? So one of the ways you can do it, if it's not stuffed, the way this is not stuffed, what you can do is you kind of go up through here. You weave up a smidgy widgy. Come up just a little bit through this way. And then you're gonna weave up to where you can just go directly through one of these spots that's like between stitches where you're not, where there's no, like you're not gonna go through any strands. It's just through here. And only, it doesn't need to be that way on both sides, just on the side that's gonna be facing outwards. So I'm gonna go ahead and thread a little bit further up this way. And then I'm gonna go directly down here. And I'm gonna pull this forward. I'm gonna try and make it as directly through as possible. So I'm not going downwards or upwards. I just wanna go straight through. Let's see, that looks good enough. Okay, and I'm gonna pull it all the way through. And then I'm gonna line this up as much as I can. Try and find where it would sit naturally. You can just sort of like go like this and then fold it down a bit, and then you're gonna tack it down directly below where it would sit. Maybe if we can find a strand. Okay. And then you're going to go back up through the same spot. Okay, and then we've kind of tacked it down a little bit. And then you would just keep on weaving through until you get to another one up higher. And then just do that all the way until you get to the point where it's not flopping. You don't want to attach it all the way because you do want some of it to, you know, come apart from the body. You don't want it to be fully attached. So then you would just keep going until it's sitting the way that you want it to. Now, if it's stuffed, right, you can't do that. You can't go through. It's gonna sort of make a dimple right here. It's not gonna look great. What you're gonna do is you're gonna go through like the bottom here and come out. Oh, it's already tacked down, so that's kind of hard to show. But you're gonna go through the bottom here and pretend we're gonna just start from where we already tacked it down. But we're gonna pretend it's not tacked down at all, and you're gonna start from down here. I'm gonna actually start from up here, but if it's stuffed, you start from as low, like from the very bottom, from the very beginning. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you want to make sure you're going to check every so often to make sure that you're keeping this straight. And what you're going to do is you're going to go through just one strand, pull that all the way through, and then match that strand up with where it's at on the body. And you're going to go through that strand. That's going to tack it down there, and then you're going to go up to the next round and find where's the center on that. And then you're going to go up to the next round of the pink, and just keep on doing that until you get to the point where it's sitting up enough that you want it, that's where you want it to be. Okay, I'm gonna go up one more, I think. So we went through here. Now we're gonna go through this one. Pull that a little bit tight. And then we're going up through the next, went down here, now we're going up here. Okay, so that's where I'm gonna finish. That's where I want it to be tacked down up to. So I've gone through the pink, and now I'm gonna go back through that same spot where I had gone through on the blue. And I'm gonna start weaving that direction. So I'm just gonna pull that nice and tight. And then I'm gonna just weave this in. You can see that that is going to keep it upwards, and you're only working on the one side, so it works if it's stuffed. But if you see, this is kind of making a dimple. That's where we had sewn the other part, where it was like, if it's not stuffed, it's fine. But you can see it's kind of making a dimple. So if this was stuffed, you'd have a weird dimple. So this is actually, that first way I showed you is pretty good if you're sewing like a small piece on, like say you have a tiny little foot where you want it to be attached, like the first part of it, like from the part where you sewed on until like the other half, that's where you want it. And then you have just like a little bit that's apart from the body. That's a really good way to do it. But if you're sewing on a large piece like a tail, or maybe it's like a really floppy ear or something, then you would want to do it the second way that I showed you.